Hello and welcome to our first session of 8th grade math review. We're going to talk a little about the number lines. Very well. Now imagine this is your 0 and we're trying to figure out which of these arrows are. Hello and welcome to the first grade. Hello and welcome to the first session of 8th grade math review. We're going to talk about number lines, and basically we're trying to figure out what number each of these arrows are pointing out to. Well, something that we need to keep in mind is the right side is always talking about the positive numbers and the left side is talking about the negative numbers. The same applies down here, positive and negative. Now, after that, it becomes really easy. 0, one place to write, gives us 1. Therefore, this arrow right here is just moving one place, from 0 to 1. On the other hand, this arrow isn't moving at all. It's just pointing to the number 2. It starts from 2 and it finishes on 2. Over here, our arrow starts on number 4. It moves one place to the left and arrives at number 3. Let's take a look at the left side. The smallest number after 0 is -1, and then we're going to have -2, -3, and -4. Our arrow starts from -1, moves 3 places to the left, and lands on -4. Let's practice that once more down here. 0 here, 1 here, 2 here, 3 and 4. This arrow starts on number 4, moves 2 places to the left, and lands on number 2. How about this one? Well, this one starts on number 1 and moves 3 places to the left. Let's see what numbers we have over here. -1 and -2. Therefore, it starts on -1 and lands on -2. And the last arrow starts on -4, moves 2 places to the right, and lands on -2 again. How are opposite numbers added together? When you have a positive number and then again the same number but in negative format, the answer to that addition is always 0. That can be formulated into a plus -a always gives us 0. Let's try down here to see what is the opposite of each of these numbers. The opposite of 6, or the opposite of +6, is -6. The opposite of -4 is 4. -7 is basically positive. So we have +7 up here. The opposite of that is -7. 0 doesn't really have an opposite. We can consider that as just 0. What integer has the opposite of -8? That's just 8. What integer has the opposite of 5? That would be -5. And lastly, the integer 3 has an opposite of -3. There are a lot of different ways to add and subtract numbers, but some are easier than others. Let's give it a try. For example, here I'm trying to add -16 and +12. Now I could count one at a time to see what is the answer to that. Or I could break it down. Let's see how that works. We can talk about a -10, a -6, a +10, and a +2. When you break it down, it's easier to see that 2 of these cancel each other out. You basically have a -6 and a 2. That gives you -4. Let's try that over here. You have 8 minus 10 minus 2. It might be easier to subtract these two first. We know that 8 minus 10 gives us a -2. A -2 plus another -2 is basically just -4. How about over here? -3 plus 3 plus x. Two of these cancel each other out, and the answer is just x. One more time. -4, -4, and -4. This one's pretty easy. We have 3 times -4. That is -12. Let's move on to some multiplication and division. -3 times 7 is basically -21. -8 divided by -4 loses the signs, and then we're just looking at +2. -12 divided by 2 gives us -6, and -4 multiplied by -3 gives us +12. Let's talk a little about orders of operations. Should we multiply our numbers first and add them second, or do we start with addition and then move to multiplication? Well, when it comes to orders of operation, we know that it is the parentheses that is the most important one to start with. After that, we have the exponentials, and then we move to multiplication and division, and after that, it becomes addition and subtraction. Let's see that in practice. Over here, I am looking at two operations. I have a subtraction here and a multiplication here. Orders of operation tells us that it is the multiplication that has a priority. Therefore, we are looking at -8 minus 3 times 5 is 15. Now, we could count and add these two, or we could basically take a look at this. -8 minus 2 and minus 13. We know that these two are a -10, another -13, and that's -23. Let's try that once more over here. I have division, multiplication, and subtraction. Which one should we do first? Well, we start from left and then we move to the right. Between division and multiplication, we do whichever that comes first. Therefore, this is what we need to do first. -16 divided by 2 gives us -8, and -8 multiplied by 3 minus 4 is our new equation. -8 multiplied by 3 is -24 minus 4, which is basically -28. Looking at this equation over here, we can see that we have two parentheses. Which one should we do first? Well, the priority is always with the parentheses inside. We're going to focus on 8 minus 9. That is -1. Let's see what we have now. We have 1 minus 2 multiplied by 1 minus -1. 1 minus -1 is basically 1 plus 1. Let's rewrite it once more. 1 minus 2 multiplied by 2. Should we do subtraction or multiplication first? Of course, it's multiplication first. So 1 minus 4, which gives us a negative 3. Very well. Let's move to the last example on this page. We are looking at negative 4 divided by 4 minus 4 multiplied by 3. Starting from left going to the right, we have division. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. The final answer is basically negative 1 minus 12. That is negative 13. That's how we work with orders of operations. There are a lot of different ways to add and subtract numbers. But which way is the most efficient one? Which way is the fastest one? I myself really like to break my numbers down into better, more efficient and smarter combinations. For example, I am looking at a 3 and a 7 as my first digits in this addition. But the signs are different. I can't add these two together. Let's see what we can do. How about I write everything in terms of tens and ones. We have a negative 40, a plus 30, and a negative 20. I also have a negative 3, a plus 7, and a negative 9. How about we talk about the tens first? Negative 40 and negative 20 give us negative 60. Plus 30, that's negative 30. How about we talk about the ones now? Let's see. Maybe I can transfer a negative 1 from our negative 3 to negative 9. So then I would have negative 2 plus 7, negative 10. I think that would be just easier to work with. Negative 10 and plus 7 give us negative 3. Negative 3 and negative 2 are basically negative 5. The answer is negative 35. With a little bit of practice, this method can give us great speed. Let's use the same method to answer more basic additions and subtractions. First, simplification. Negative parenthesis negative 17 is basically positive 17 because negative times negative is positive. We have another 14, negative 13, and negative 19. How about we write everything in terms of tens and ones? We have a positive 10, another positive 10, a negative 10, and another negative 10. Now, as you can see, all of these cancel each other out. It's just easier to see them that way. How about we move to the ones now? I have a 7, a 4, a negative 3, and a negative 9. Since everything cancels each other out over here, we just have to focus on our ones. How about we do the same thing with it over there? I keep 7 and 4 and change my last two numbers just a tiny bit. I'm going to write them as negative 2 and negative 10. Now I have better combinations. Negative 10 and positive 7 is negative 3. Positive 4 and negative 2 is just 2. At the end, I'm just looking at negative 3 plus 2. The final answer is negative 1. Perhaps we can try that another time. Let's try that again. Negative 7 is positive 7. Minus 2, positive negative 9 is just negative 9. Now, let's see. How about we change the last two digits just a tiny bit? +7, -1, -10. I just added one of the negative ones to this -9. -10 and +7 gives us -3, and we have another -1. Therefore, the final answer is just -4. Let's try that again. Here, I am looking at a -24, -97, +100, -23. How about we break it down? I am looking at -20, and 90, 100, and another 20. How about the ones? A -4, a -7, and a -3. Very well. Now, we're basically looking at two -20s, which give us -40, and a -90. -40 and -90 gives us -130. I have another +100. That gives us -30. How about the ones now? I am looking at -4 minus 10, which is -14. -14 minus 30 gives us -44. And one last time. Let's simplify what we have here. -18, negative times negative gives us positive. Therefore, we write it as -18 plus 4. Negative times negative gives us positive. Then we have +19. How about we break it down into tens and ones? We have -10 and +10. The ones, -8 and +9. These two cancel each other out. 9 minus 8 is just +1. How do we add the first 100 natural numbers together? Well, if you want to do it one at a time, it's going to be quite difficult. There is an easier way to go about this. If you add the first number to the very last number, you notice that it gives you 101. And then if you add 2 to the one before the very last number, which is 99, then again, it's going to give you 101. And if you add 3 and 98 together, that's going to give you 101. 4 and 97 are also going to give you 101. As you guessed it, each of these pairs will definitely give you 101. Now it's just a matter of figuring out how many pairs we actually have. Well, we had 100 numbers that we wanted to add together. Since we are talking in terms of pairs, we can divide that by 2. We have 50 pairs of 101s. Let's multiply that. This is going to give us 5,050. The sum of the first 100 natural numbers is 550. We can actually come up with a formula for that. So whenever we're talking about adding a few numbers together, we can use the formula n multiplied by n plus 1. So that's the next number, divided by 2. Let's see if we can get the same answer from this formula. I was looking to add my 100 numbers. So n in this case is 100. We have to multiply that by 100 plus 1, 101, multiplied by 2. Then again, we are facing the same multiplication, 50 times 101. We get the exact same answer. Everything seems to be correct. Now, how do we add this as easy as possible? Should I add negative 2 and 4, negative 6 and 8, negative 10 and 12? Or perhaps I can do it a little bit easier. Maybe. How can I solve this? I think the first possible method is to just add each pair together. Let's see how that goes. So first I'm going to have a plus 2, and then I'm going to have another plus 2, and then I'm going to have another plus 2. That was pretty straightforward. I have plus 6. Another method is to add all the positive numbers and all the negative numbers. For instance, we can have negative 2, negative 6, and negative 10 added together, and negative 8 together. Now, negative 2 and negative 6 is negative 8, with another 10, that's negative 18. Now let's add all the positive numbers together. We can have plus 4, we can have plus 4, plus 8, and plus 12. Now, 12 and 8 give us a 20, and a 4, that gives us 24. We have a positive 24 and a negative 18. We just have to subtract these two now. We can break it down actually. 20 minus 10 plus 4 minus 8. That's going to give us a 10 here, and we're going to have a negative 4 here, positive 6. Now, as you can see, this method actually took a much longer time compared to the previous one. Is there any other method that maybe we can try? We can pick and choose our numbers. For example, I can add the first number and the last number together. Since I can see they make a good combination. Positive 12 and a negative 2 give us a positive 10. Then I look again. I can have positive 4 and negative 10 added together. That's going to give me a negative 6. And the last two numbers, negative 6 and positive 8. That's going to give me a positive 2. I'm looking at a 12 minus 6, which is just positive 6. We're trying to fill this table in a way so that each row, each column, and each diagonal would give us the exact same number. We already have a hint. If you look at the first diagonal, we already have a hint. If we look at this diagonal, we can see that the sum of these three numbers is negative 6. So we already know what each diagonal, each row, and each column should equal to. All of them should equal to negative 6. Since I already have two numbers in my third column, I'm going to start there, because there is no place or space for making any errors. 4 and negative 6 is negative 2. To get to negative 6 from negative 2, I need only another negative 4. The third column is now fully done. The next place that already has two numbers and needs only a third one to be completed is the first column. In the first column, we are looking at a -8 and a -4. That's -12. To get from -12 to -6, we need a +6 only. The next place that has already two numbers filled and needs only a third one is the middle column. In the middle column, we are looking at a +6 and a -2. That is +4. To get to -6, we need a -10. Now, we can do the middle row or the third row. We don't have any other priority since both of them have two numbers in. I'm going to start from the third one. -10 and 4 is going to give us -6. We can't change that since we are looking for -6. Therefore, I'm going to put a 0 here. And to fill the last empty spot, we're going to look at -8 and a 0. To get to -6, we need a +2. Now we can check and make sure everything's correct. The other diagonal is also equaling to -6. The first column is giving us -6. The middle column is giving us another -6. The third column is also -6. The first row was -6, the middle row -6, and the third row also -6. Everything checks out.